I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please join me in saying the flag salute. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And may I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Villaseñor.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Gurrola.
Here.
Mayor Brogy.
Here.
Councilmember Austin.
Here.
Councilmember Mendez.
Here.
Okay, moving on to item number 4, approval of the agenda. Before I ask for the approval of that matter, we are going to pull the closed session off of tonight's agenda, so no closed session. And can I get a motion to approve with that?
I motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
With that revision?
Yeah.
I guess I just have a question. That's all closed items?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Sure.
Correct. Okay.
Roll
this
call,
is a
Mayor?
time. What?
Roll call, Mayor, for vote.
Need to do a vote, or roll call. A vote.
Okay. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the agenda's been approved. Okay, so now moving on, item number 5, public comments. I don't have any speaker requests. This is a time that we reserve for comments on things that are not on the agenda. So I'm assuming there's nothing coming down the pike. Okay. Then we will move on to item number 6, City Council reports, recommendations, and comments, and I'll turn this over to Council.
Okay, none on my end, Mayor.
Just like to report that the Old Telegraph Bridge, and pardon me if I'm stepping on your toes there, Dave, but it's open inbound into town. There have been reports of people going the wrong way, so report traffic violations to the appropriate authorities, please.
Any other?
No, I guess I'll do the committee.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
later. Yeah, okay.
Actually, Mayor, I do have a comment.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. It was published in the Ventura County Star today that Fillmore High School was distinguished as a California, I'm using the right word, California Distinguished High School. And this is for the first time, I believe, that Fillmore High School has had that designation.
Yeah, first time any school in the district
Any
has
school
received it.
in the district has had that, and it went to Fillmore High School this year. And I think this is the only school in the county this year to get that acknowledgement. So congratulations to Fillmore High School, to the principal, superintendent, and everyone, board of trustees, parents, and of course the students. Great work.
Yeah, quite an accomplishment. Thanks for bringing that up. Anything else? Okay, then we will move on to item number 7, consent calendar.
I move to approve the consent calendar.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the consent calendar is approved. Okay, item number 8, 8A, approve the 2024-25 Ventura County Animal Service Level Request. This is with regard to our animal regulations, and we'll turn it over to staff.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council members and residents of City of Fillmore. Tonight, I would like to request you to consider approval of the service level request for the upcoming fiscal year 25. As you're aware, we contract out our animal services with the county, with Ventura County Animal Services. We entered into an agreement with them in 2020. And so the percentage, it's a prorated formula that the county utilizes. Every year, there's a 3-year, we're on the final 3rd year, and 50% of the cost that's associated is based on the previous year, so that would mean this current fiscal year. And then 25% gets calculated from the year before then, and then the other 25% is from the first year. And so this year, the main changes, again, would be the field services rate has increased by $15. And then We are anticipating to utilize our budget that was planned for the current fiscal year of '24. Although as of last week, we had only spent $75,990 out of the $140,000 that we had budgeted. That only included the first 2 quarters, and we're anticipating that we will reach that by the end of the fiscal year. We utilize their services. We don't have the staff nor the capacity to provide animal services or licensing and all of the above. And so tonight we're here to request you to approve the 3rd-year service level agreement. One of the main changes that we will be having this year is previously we would have to pay for what would be a VPN access to what was called Chameleon to see any sort of violation. This year they have upgraded the services and changed the system, and so now it's free of charge. So at least we're getting that without any charges this year. And that concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Any questions? Questions from council?
I just have one question about how, like, a resident might be able to utilize these services. What's an effective way? I mean, obviously they could probably contact VCAS directly. It's probably less commonly known. Would that call typically just go to the police department, or how does that work to make reports for strays?
So most of the residents are pretty knowledgeable about reporting if a animal is out loose or if they believe what's called a animal might be abused, for example. And so if we receive the phone call, then we provide them with the information to reach out to the county directly. But at least for my time being, for the past 5 years, it has been very little when a resident calls us directly because they're pretty much aware that they have to call the county directly. And they call the main line over there, and then they get triaged to whether it's licensing, if it's a loose animal for the field services, or if there's a quarantine animal that was picked up. Their automated phone call tree is pretty self-explanatory, and then it's also in English and Spanish in case a resident doesn't speak English.
Thank you.
Yes, I do have a question. Thank you, Mayor. Erika, you said that we're in the 3rd year of this, sort of, but that we started the contract in 2020. So is this starting the 3rd year of the contract, or we still have?
So we started in 2020, we entered into a 5-year agreement. And so we are at the 3rd year, so 24-25 would be the 3rd year.
Okay, and then we've got 2 more years after that.
And we haven't started the conversation yet about how the cost will be shared. And I believe there will be changes at the executive level at the county, so I anticipate that we'll probably be hearing from them after this is signed, and once they've approved all of the service levels agreements at county-wide, most likely we'll start the conversation sometime in July or after that.
Okay. And then another question is I know this is the service that is a county service and it services the cities. Is there, have we ever looked at, I think this conversation came up, Mark, a couple of years ago when we were talking about this. Have we looked at other services? Are there any other providers available to us?
So I believe, David, correct me if I'm wrong, we looked at before trying to potentially see whether there were other jurisdictions, but Thousand Oaks contracts out with LA County just because of the proximity. And then Santa Paula is the other city out of the 10 that doesn't contract out. So we have explored the potential of going with LA County, but it didn't go anywhere.
Okay. All right. I was just thinking, I know I've got my dog from the shelter at Castaic, and I know equidistance really seems between Camarillo and Castaic from here, so I thought about LA County as well. Okay, well, that's for a future conversation, maybe. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Okay, then discussion with council here. Any further discussion? Okay, we have a motion.
Okay, I'll move that the City Council approve the 2024-2025 service level request for the Ventura County Animal Services to provide animal services to the city's residents.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, this motion passes. Thank you. Okay, now moving on to item 8B, award of contract for construction of projects, City Hall elevator modernization. That's the elevator right outside here. Turn it over to staff.
Thank you. Good evening, City Council. I'll be handling this on behalf of our Municipal Services Director, who is at the Public Works Officers Institute this week. Yes, the background here is the elevator was originally installed in this building on construction in 1996. So we're going on 28 years, and although regular maintenance has been performed, these things have a life. We're well beyond the expected life of an elevator, which is generally 20 to 25 years. And so, yeah, it's time to replace this elevator. This goes back to an original allocation of ARPA funds towards this project budget in May of '22, followed by, at the very beginning of the fiscal year, an award of contract to BOEA to prepare the plan specs and provide construction management services during construction phase. So they've been retained. They prepared the plans and specs, which were adopted by the City Council on January 9th of this year. And then the bids were advertised between January 11th, and bids were opened on February 15th. And so we have 4 qualified bidders, actually, which is pretty good. We got some interest in doing this job for the city. There were some anomalies in the bids, as summarized in the staff report. The low bidder was still vetted by the city attorney and the bid analysis as valid, and the anomaly of the $3,000 being included can be waived, and even with the $3,000, there's still the low bidder. So even if we, leave that in, they get the contract. So, and they're qualified and licensed and can do this work, and staff has confidence that that qualified low bidder will be able to perform the work. As a part of the contract, in addition to the construction cost, we're also looking at entering into an elevator maintenance contract so that for the next 5 years, we don't have to worry about it. And so in addition to the $189,514 for the actual construction by Next Level Elevator, which is the qualified low bidder, responsive qualified low bidder, we also are asking for $15,000 for maintenance, plus the cost of providing project management and construction management inspection services, and a 5% contingency. So if you add all of that up, as discussed in the fiscal impact section of your staff report, we come to a total budget at $229,8970 for the construction phase, plus the $15,000 for the maintenance contract, which is $3,000 a year for 5 years. And so we are here, if we move forward with the recommended award contract, we will need an additional allocation of the ARPA monies in the amount of $29,089.70 to accomplish the elevator replacement, but also provide for 5 years of maintenance. So that concludes my staff report. Hopefully I can answer any questions you may have.
Okay, questions from council?
Let's get it done.
What's that?
I said, let's get it done.
Right. In one of the articles of the contract, it talks about, the bid or the construction would be completed within 28 days, I think
Yes.
is what I read. Obviously, there's things can arise, and it's a problematic history of the elevator. Is there any, if that was exceeded, would it just come back to council, or is there anything that we can do to hold them to that 28 days so that we don't delay this any further? It's been out of commission for quite a while now, it seems.
Yeah, and it's 28 working days,
Yes, correct.
which is actually longer than it sounds, because, that's about 6 or 8, 5 working days a week, and 26 of those. So yeah, it's 5 weeks, right? So over a month. There are liquidated damages in the contract. We do, as a part of the construction management, count the working days, to where if they don't show up and do the work, the working days disappear and they're out of working days and they didn't get it done. And there's no reason, like weather delays or, unavailable equipment or things outside their control, then we have liquidated damages as part of our standard contracts. And they generally like to avoid having to pay us back for, not getting the work done. So that would be our lever in that condition. But we do expect that with the construction management staying on top of them, we should be able to get this thing in service within that time.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Okay, then I will entertain a motion.
Okay, I move that we award a contract for construction of project specification number 2204, City Hall Elevator Modernization Project, and award of an agreement for elevator maintenance services. Would you like all 4 items listed there, Tiffany?
You can just say I move
All 4? Okay, all 4 items in the recommendation in the staff report.
Okay, I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, this agenda item passes. Thank you. Okay. Moving on to item number 8C, and that is appointment of primary and alternate delegates to California Joint Powers Insurance Authority Board of Directors.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and residents. Today I'll be delivering the item on the appointment of primary and alternate delegates to the California Joint Powers Insurance Authority Board of Directors, also known as CJPIA. The city staff recommends that the council, 1, appoint an elected official to the CJPIA Board of Directors as a primary delegate, and 2, appoint an alternate delegate that is either an elected official or a staff member. So the city council members serve as official representatives of the city to various intergovernmental agencies. The California Joint Powers Insurance Authority, again also known as CJPIA Board of Directors, is made of an elected official from each member agency. The last 6 years, the council has appointed a council member as the primary, and the assistant city manager, who is also a risk manager, as a secondary, or as an alternate. The assistant city manager, risk manager, has attended this annual board meeting and for the last 4 years, and has found this meeting to be very relevant and informative to the risk manager position. It is once again time for the council to appoint a primary and alternate delegate to the California CJPIA board. The primary must be an elected official, and the secondary can be either an elected official and or a staff member, such as assistant city manager. The next board meeting will be held in La Palma on Wednesday, July 24th at 7 p.m. And this recommendation action has no fiscal impact, as the CJPIA covers the costs associated with attending this annual meeting. So I please ask that you select a primary and alternate for this board. Thank you.
Okay, let's turn it over to staff. Who's in the primary?
Current primary?
Yeah.
A council member has to be primary and
Who currently?
Do we currently have a primary?
It's me.
Yeah.
Well, usually what happens is we appoint somebody and they defer it to staff, so the staff member attends.
I attended, and the conference was really amazing.
Well, we haven't had an attendee for 4 years or something like that, I think, so.
Yeah, it was
Well, then-
well worthwhile.
Then you can attend again.
That wasn't where this was leading.
Yes, it was.
Does anybody volunteer to?
Could you tell me about what the experience was like in your attendance?
It wasn't solely focused on just the whole insurance aspect of it, but there was a lot of different informative courses that pertain to elected officials. It was like a mini league session, but and a lot of it delved into, obviously, the legal aspects of, the insurance and the coverage.
Was that a special conference?
Mayor, I think you attended the annual risk management forum.
Yep.
This is a one meeting at 7 p.m. in La Palma, and some elected officials attend, and then it's the board of directors. So it's more of the approval of the budget, last year's minutes, and any initiative that they might be having in the upcoming fiscal year.
Okay, so then, what conference was I attending?
They have an annual risk
Okay, that's what it was.
forum, and I believe that's probably what you're referencing, and it's in the course of 2 days, and there's different workshops that
Right,
are
right.
really informative, but this meeting is a 2-hour meeting.
And then just so you're aware, I attended that one also, and it was good. But
Okay. Anyway, back to the agenda item.
So I think what Councilmember Austin said was that Erika has very graciously
whoever gets appointed,
attended the last few years as the main person from the city of
whoever
Fillmore.
gets appointed, if you cannot attend,
Okay.
Erica or our city
Sure.
clerk will, okay,
Yeah.
it's Chris.
I'll volunteer. My schedule
you,
looks
Chris.
clear for now.
Okay. Then,
So I can make a motion, Mayor, I need a motion, that Mayor Pro Tem Garola is our elected official attending, and our Assistant City Manager Herrera as the alternate.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
I didn't get my eye in, sorry.
Okay, Councilmember
It's
Garola
okay,
is,
it passed anyway.
it did. Thank you. All right, moving on to item number 8D. This is the contract change order for construction of the generator installation at the Active Adult Center here in Fillmore. We'll turn this over to staff.
Good evening, thank you. Yes, so we have made progress on the generator installation at the Active Adult Center. We spent $299,000 of the $300,000 that was in the Office of Emergency Services grant. But in the course of construction, as often happens with older buildings and just being in an older environment, like we are oftentimes, our lovely historic districts, right? We came upon a couple of different things that cost extra. The primary item being that Southern California Edison identified when we went to get their, final design to connect to the overhead service, which during design and up until the point where they came out to look at the building and approve it, they said we were going to connect to the existing building overhead. It's just a switchgear that we had. They said, this is a 600 amp service. You can't have it overhead. You need to underground the entire building service. And I said, that's going to cost at least $50,000 or $60,000 to do in a building like this. And they said, sorry. I said, no, we can't do it. And they said, then we can't approve any electricity. And I was like, okay, so I tried. They said, they sent me all the rules and regulations why it's not. The bottom line, and this is the sad part, is that because I'm like, just no, and they're like, you have to. I'm like, why? And the why was, people steal it. Like if the 600 amp is overhead, it's a commercial. We're only using 400 amp of the 600 amp service, but that big of a service, people will go to the overhead and steal electricity behind the meter, or in front of the meter. And so they passed regulation a few years ago that no longer allows 600 amp buildings to be overhead. So now I know when we do it to the Veterans Memorial District building, if we ever get to that point of adding a generator over there, we'll have to underground that service too, because it's a 600 amp service. So yeah, fun stuff, fun times. And so that kind of blew up my project budget. But what we did is we also extended the Office of Emergency Services grant 2 times because this project has taken 18 months to get a generator. Like everybody was installing these generators because that's the thing that happens. Like SB1 comes along and puts all this paving money on the street, and the next thing you know, the paving prices go up and you can't get a contractor at a decent price. OES put all this money on the street, everybody was buying generators, and we were coming off of COVID with the supply chain interruption. It took our contractor 18 months. He submitted the purchase order immediately when we approved the project, and then they said they were going to get it at 9 months, and then it moved out to a year, and then it moved and we literally just took delivery of it a few weeks ago. So and OES said there's no extensions, and then we were like, but we can't get the generator, so they extended us 1, and then we still don't have a generator, so they extended us again. So then the deadline for the grant was February 29th of this year, and they were like, no more extensions, either spend it or return the money. And so I kind of got fancy, and I suspended line items in contract with the contractor and did a deductive change order to create money for the underground work, and I added the underground work to the contract, but stayed within the previously designated budget so that we could actually spend and write the check and get the Office of Emergency Services monies liquidated by February 29th. So now we owe them the final report saying we liquidated everything and here's where we are in the project. Ideally, the final report is due March 22nd. Today is March 13th. We can get even more done for the final report between now and when we submit the final report. But if the change order that I present to you, it includes the additional design services for the building underground to get the building permit set updated, the design services from Southern California Edison. And by the way, I almost forgot about the the SoCal Edison charges. I added them to the table. It was $2,048. I did that at the last minute. So when you make a motion, item number 1 in the summary motion should really be changed to match the $84,946. I do have a typo in my staff report. And so if you look at the table in the fiscal impact summary, I added that 2048 for Edison, which brought it from the 82,898 to 384,946. So we need additional $84,946 of the American Rescue Plan money to complete the project and get the generator installed and operational. But this will cover the design cost, maintain the contingency that we had previously allocated to the project. It restores that by paying up all change orders to date, including the undergrounding, paying for the design surface, paying for the extended inspection, project management, and construction management time that is taken to do this and will take to complete it, and also pays Delta Electric for all of their, and they have been great to work with us through all of this. Like when we said we need to spend this now, they said I'll do it next week, and it involved like digging up that whole sidewalk, hand digging around the conduits. I think he gave us a great price for what we did. I feel very comfortable saying we got a good value, even with everything that happened. And the whole building is undergrounded and up to regulation standard, and that's a good thing. So this was a good investment in the Active Adult Center, and we'll have a generator, and it will be a cooling center, and we will realize what we set about to do as we allocate this additional money to finish this project. It should be operational at the latest in June.
Oh, good, okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Before we get the hot, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying for May, maybe June, depending on how the scheduling goes.
Yeah. Okay, any questions from council for staff?
I just have the one. I was going to ask you about the February 29th date, but I guess you told us a roundabout way how you got there, so we're good.
That's how I got there, we're good. Yeah, I think I just have a little bit, and I'm working with the finance department on, we have retention money that we're required to withhold. I'm like, that's liquidated, right? So there, I have to do the final reporting to the OES and say, we spent it all. We have like $500 we might have to give you back.
Yeah, I just had a comment, Mayor, just saying that the spending of these extra funds and using the ARPA money is a really good use of the ARPA funds, which are very much supposed to be, community-based for emergencies. It's from COVID, and, just making sure that our one community center that we have operating right now is the building that we need it to be for, for emergencies and for more. So, thank you.
Agreed.
And I just wanted to comment or I had a question for you that, out of curiosity, has that information been passed on to the Veterans Memorial District? Do they know that they're going to have to do the underground thing?
I had a meeting with them last week, and while we were there, I brought this up,
good,
and we
okay.
checked the service, and we all realized, this is a 600 amp overhead too. So yeah, and you could see, they're like, it's been undergrounded. You can see on the pole. And I said, actually, the county library just updated, and I believe that's undergrounded to the library, because the county would have had to do the same thing with that building.
Okay. Any other questions, comments for staff? Okay, I will entertain a motion.
Okay, I'll move that we appropriate the additional $84,946, is that correct? Okay, amount of the ARPA funding to capital fund account number 231-4209-0031-389 for the uses described below, which includes increase the contract for Delta Electric in the amount of $62,650, correct? authorize the change order. Did you read that out, Tiffany? Everything? Okay, and then also number 3, approve an increase in the general accounting component of the contract with Wilden for this.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, this motion passes. Okay, so that takes us on to our next agenda item, which is item 9, committee, commission, and board reports. And I know that Albert has,
Yes, I have one.
okay.
Today I attended the Air Pollution Control Board meeting, and today they gave a presentation on the landfills. And they did the Singing Valley landfill. And it was a very good presentation. I have a handout here if anybody wants to take a look at it. It shows, the presentation was about all the safety measures that they have in place and what they have planned for the next, I think, 5 years, as far as upgrades to stay compliant with all the laws that they have. So what happened in Chiquita doesn't happen in Chiquita County. And so it really set my mind at ease, knowing that we have all these safeguards in place and they're doing what they have to do to prevent any disasters. That's all I wanted to report.
Okay. Anyone else? I did attend the Southern Pacific Subcommittee. It's part of Ventura County Transportation Commission this week. It's a subcommittee of VCTC made up of one of our local supervisor, Kelly Long, VCTC staff, city council member from Ventura, and city council from Santa Paula. And it's interesting, you know, it covers the entire county, even though it's Southern Pacific Railroad that they're addressing. But the railroad actually, it goes all the way down into Ventura. It's not usable in a lot of places, but it covers that area, as well as obviously all the way up here to Fillmore. But the last few meetings, there's been a lot of focus on Fillmore, primarily because of the railroad trellis, and now we brought up the conversation of the Old Telegraph Road issue. We were really close to starting work on the railroad trellis, but I learned at this meeting that there was additional damage done to the railroad trellis in this most recent rains that we had. So now we have FEMA already taking care of the damage that was occurred in the storm back in January for the railroad trellis, but now we have additional damage, so we have to go back to FEMA and solicit additional funds to fix the additional damage. So they're trying to coordinate so that there's some work being done and coordinated in conjunction with the repairs to Old Telegraph Road and the railroad trellis, because they're parallel, they're 20 yards apart or something like that. So anyway, I would encourage anybody who's interested in what's going on with Fillmore. Like I said, there's always the emphasis, there's been a huge emphasis because of the railroad and the storms that we've had in Sespe Creek and whatnot. Attend these meetings. You know, citizens can attend just like you do here. So anyway, I just wanted to report on that, and things are moving forward a lot slower than we expected because of all the weather that we've been having. So anyway, that's all. Anyone else? Okay, then I will turn it over to our city manager for his report. Okay. So when we pulled closed session, item number 11 off the agenda, so that leaves us to adjournment. So this is a record-breaking, speedy meeting, but we will go ahead and adjourn to our next meeting on Tuesday, March 26th here at City Hall. And everyone have a great couple weeks. Thank you.